Have you ever checked your bank account and seen exactly $1,000 sitting there, just enough to matter, but not enough to feel safe, and suddenly felt stuck? Not broke, not rich, just frozen. Because that $1,000 feels heavier than any amount of money you've ever had before. It's the first time money feels like a decision instead of survival. And that's why this moment matters more than people realize. Because what you do with your first $1,000 quietly predicts what you'll do with every dollar that comes after it. Some people turn it into the foundation of long-term wealth. Others turn it into a story about why investing didn't work for them. Most people don't fail because they choose the wrong stock. They fail because they don't understand what this moment actually represents. This isn't about turning $1,000 into millions overnight. That's not real life. This is about building momentum. This is about learning how money behaves when it's no longer just sitting still. And most importantly, this is about proving to yourself that you're capable of making smart financial decisions without being a finance expert. Today, I'm going to walk you through a clear, realistic system for investing your first $1,000. No hype, no jargon, no gambling disguised as strategy. Just a plan that real people use to build wealth slowly, consistently, and sustainably. But before we talk about investing, we need to talk about something that almost nobody mentions, and it's the reason so many beginners lose money and never come back. Your $1,000 might not be ready to be invested yet. I know that sounds wrong. You clicked on a video about investing. But stay with me, because this single step is what separates people who grow wealth from people who get burned early and quit. Investing only works when you're not forced to sell. That's the rule nobody tells beginners. If you invest money that you might need in the next few months, you're not investing. You're borrowing from your future self and hoping nothing goes wrong. And something always goes wrong. A car repair, a medical bill, a job issue. Life doesn't wait for your portfolio to recover. Imagine this. You invest your $1,000. You feel proud. You feel like you're finally doing the right thing. Then, a few months later, something breaks. You need $800 fast. You don't have cash saved, so you sell your investments. Here's the part that hurts. Markets are often down when people need money the most. You sell at a loss, handle the emergency, and walk away thinking investing is risky or unfair. But the real problem wasn't the market. It was timing. That's why before investing, you need a small emergency buffer. Not perfection. Not 6 months. Just enough to keep you from panic selling. 1 month of basic expenses in a safe savings account is enough to protect your investments from your life. This isn't boring advice, it's survival advice. Once that foundation is in place, there's one more uncomfortable truth to face: high interest debt. If you're carrying credit card balances with interest rates in the 15 to 25% range, investing doesn't make sense yet. That's not opinion, that's math. You're paying guaranteed high interest while hoping your investments earn less over time. Paying off high-interest debt is one of the best investments you can make because it offers something the market never will: certainty. A guaranteed return with zero risk. Now, this doesn't mean you need to be debt-free before investing. Low-interest debt like a reasonable car loan or a mortgage doesn't block you from building wealth. But high-interest debt quietly destroys progress, and ignoring it is one of the most common beginner mistakes. Once you've handled those two things, basic emergency cash and high-interest debt, you're ready for the part most people think investing is all about: choosing where your money actually goes. And this is where beginners make a mistake that costs them tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime without ever realizing it. They choose the wrong type of account. Most people obsess over which stock to buy and completely ignore the account holding the investment. But the account you choose determines how much of your future growth you actually get to keep. There are two main options for your first $1,000: a Roth IRA or a taxable brokerage account. For most beginners, a Roth IRA is the strongest place to start. Here's why. With a Roth IRA, you invest money you've already paid taxes on. That part doesn't feel exciting, but the payoff comes later. Every dollar your investment grows becomes tax-free forever. Not reduced taxes, not delayed taxes. Zero. If $1,000 grows into $50,000 over the next few decades, you keep all $50,000. That tax advantage compounds quietly in the background, year after year, without you doing anything extra. This is why the Roth IRA is such a powerful wealth-building tool. It rewards patience, it rewards consistency, and it punishes impulsive behavior, which is exactly what beginners need. There are rules, of course, contribution limits, income limits, and the fact that growth is generally locked until retirement age. But for long-term goals, that restriction is actually a feature, not a flaw. It protects you from yourself. If you want flexibility or if you're investing for shorter-term goals, a taxable brokerage account makes sense. You can invest any amount and access your money whenever you want. You'll pay taxes on gains, but you gain control. Neither option is right or wrong. They're tools. The mistake is not understanding the difference and choosing randomly. Once the account decision is made, we finally reach the question everyone asks first, and usually asks wrong. What should you actually invest in? This is where social media does the most damage. You see people posting screenshots of massive daily gains. You hear stories about someone who bought the right stock at the right time, and suddenly boring, sensible investing feels slow and outdated. Here's the truth. Most people learn the hard way. Trying to get rich fast is the fastest way to lose money. Your first $1,000 should not be used to chase hype. It shouldn't be used to day trade. And it definitely shouldn't be used to gamble on companies you don't understand. Successful investors don't look for excitement. They look for systems that work even when they're not paying attention. That's why index funds dominate long-term investing. An index fund lets you own small pieces of hundreds or thousands of companies at once. Instead of guessing which company will win, you benefit from overall economic growth. When businesses grow, you grow. A simple allocation works incredibly well, around 60 to 70% in a total U.S. market or S&P 500 index fund. This gives you exposure to the strongest companies in the country without relying on any single one. Another 20 to 30% in an international index fund spreads your risk globally. Different economies perform well at different times. Owning both keeps you balanced. Bonds are optional early on. When you're young and investing small amounts, growth matters more than stability. This approach isn't flashy, and that's exactly why it works. Index funds quietly outperform most professional investors over long periods. Not because professionals are stupid, but because complexity creates fees, taxes, and emotional mistakes. Simplicity removes them. The most powerful part of this strategy is that it scales. The same approach works with $1,000 or $100,000. You don't need to reinvent your strategy every time your balance grows. The most successful investors I know aren't necessarily the ones who started with the most money. They're the ones who figured out how to consistently add money to their investments month after month, year after year, regardless of what the market was doing or how they were feeling about their investment account balance on any given day. This is where automation becomes your best friend. Most brokerage accounts will let you set up automatic investments where they pull a certain amount from your checking account every month and invest it according to whatever allocation you've chosen. So if you decide you can afford to invest $200 per month going forward, you can set it up once and then forget about it. The psychological benefit of this approach cannot be overstated. When the market is performing well and you're feeling great about your investments, you'll invest your $200. When the market is crashing and you're convinced the world is ending, you'll still invest your $200. When you're busy with work or distracted by life and completely forget about your investment account, you'll still invest your $200. This removes all of the emotional decision-making that destroys most people's investment returns. You're not trying to time the market or figure out whether this is a good month to invest or a bad month to invest. You're just consistently buying more shares regardless of what the price happens to be, which means you'll automatically buy more shares when prices are low and fewer shares when prices are high. Over time, this approach called dollar cost averaging smooths out the volatility and helps ensure that you're not accidentally buying everything at the peak of the market. It's not a perfect system, but it's a system that works well enough that you can set it and forget it while focusing on more important things in life, like actually earning more money to invest. Look, I'm not going to mislead you and say that your first $1,000 is going to change your life overnight. It won't. But what it will do is something far more valuable. It will prove to yourself that you can build wealth, that you can make smart financial decisions, and that you're not destined to work until you're 70 just to afford basic necessities in retirement. That $1,000 is your declaration of financial independence. Even if it doesn't feel significant right now, 30 years from now, when that simple investment strategy has grown into something that actually can change your life, you'll look back on today as the day everything shifted. The day you stopped making excuses and started building the future you actually want. The path to wealth isn't complicated, but it does require you to start. Your $1,000 sitting in a savings account earning virtually nothing is like having a seed that you never plant. It has potential, but potential without action is just a nice idea. Today is the day you plant that seed and begin growing the financial future you deserve. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our channel for weekly finance content that helps you make smarter decisions and grow your money faster.